100 years ago, Lois, come here, Dad has a light meal, but when Jean Locker carried the food bowl into the room, he only saw his little dragon sleeping on a pile of books. He thought, oh, it looks like you fell asleep while reading. Then he picked up the little dragon and placed it on the bed to sleep, with a sad face. Blame it on you for not eating enough before sleeping, but since you're already asleep, I hope you wake up safely. Sleep well, my son, I'll see you tomorrow. After that, he sat down to write something in the library when suddenly he heard a loud noise coming from Lois's room. He hurriedly ran upstairs, opened the door in panic, and exclaimed, "What just happened?" In front of him was the bed where he had placed Lois to sleep. But it had collapsed. A piece of wood was pressing against little Lois's body. He rushed over, lifting the piece of wood with one hand while calling out, "Lois, are you okay? Are you hurt?" Lois was mumbling in her sleep at this point. Then he looked around and silently thought, there are no signs of intrusion. Could it be that the precious wooden legs made from natural rosewood have broken? Then in the following decades, some mysterious incidents continued to occur, as if someone was trying to kill it. It has nearly died many times. I don't know why these things keep happening to Lois, so as a precaution, I have created protective layers in every possible way. Then he used magic to create purple circles to protect Lois. My lifespan may have been shortened a bit, but that's not important to me, as long as I can keep Lois safe. In the past 60 years, I have never had a good night's sleep. 4120, that's the number of times Lois's life has been threatened. Is someone really trying to assassinate it? But who could do such a thing? The world has forgotten about dragons, and only a few creatures are aware of our existence. How could any creature harm Lois without us noticing? Only dragons could possess such power, but everyone living nearby has been protecting the young of our lineage as if protecting their own lives. So after all, are all these things just coincidences, or not? I don't know anymore. And then, bang, the guards on both sides of the corridor were rushing to attack him. Jean Locker angrily said, "How dare those mindless creatures?" Then he raised his hand, a purple energy stream flew towards the guards, immediately turning into sharp blades piercing through each guard one by one, and in an instant, they were all subdued. Perhaps it's unavoidable, geniuses always need to overcome many difficult obstacles. Not only that, but there may be many more challenges and hardships ahead for Lois. Just like what happened to the current Dragon King. Is that true? Is Lois's power so strong that they are trying to eliminate it? No. Then he clenched his fists tightly, his face furious. No, it can't be. No matter the fate or anything else, I will protect Lois from anything. Returning to the present scene, young dragon Lois was standing in front of the mirror, muttering to himself, "Humph. Have I grown a bit?" Then, in anger, he jumped up and shouted, "I've slept for 100 years and all I've grown is this much. But anyway, the past 100 years haven't been in vain, and I'm still alive. I've almost been killed every day." Then he realized, does that mean I'm safe while sleeping? I don't know how to think about this, but it doesn't matter how it happened. What matters is I'm still alive. Watching up to this point, I think this guy must have suffered a lot in his past life, so in this life, he encountered a good father to make up for it. The long-haired young man, Jean Locker, had to bear the burden until his old back broke, sacrificing a bunch of magic just to protect this young dragon's sleep and survival. After that, Jean Locker stepped in and said, "Lois, it's almost dinner time, so get ready to come down and eat." "Yes, father." Then he thought to himself, something seems to be happening to father, he seems to be aging. I guess I'm really a disaster. Then he raised his hands determinedly and said, "If that's the case, then from now on, I'll be a good obedient child and listen to father." He then hurriedly ran after, calling out loudly, "Wait for me, father." Young Jean Locker turned back with a smile, "Haha, of course, but father, you seem very tired." "Why is that?" he asked. "You think I look tired?" "Yes, so you should rest more before working." "Ha, ha, all right." Some time later, in a grassy field, with the distant silhouette of the Earth's left tooth mountain, there was a young boy holding a wooden sword practicing. He swung down, and a stream of energy emanated. Suddenly, there was a call from afar, "Lois, Master Lois," then a boy turned around, revealing to be our young dragon ward, now grown into a boy. Indeed, time flies like a galloping dog. Then a scarf floated over to the voice and continued, "Here, your master's scarf." Lois then pulled the scarf up, revealing a butterfly-winged fairy wearing a servant's outfit. Her name was Finn, and she eagerly continued, "I see you're probably accustomed to the human form now. You truly are the descendant of the great sacred dragon lineage. It's been over 100 years, can you stop calling me your master, Finn?" Upon hearing this, she clasped her hands and said, "But you are truly my master, serving the noble dragons is a great honor for beings like us." Lois thought, an honor? I haven't thought about that anymore, perhaps after my first long sleep. Let's rewind time a bit. Lois was still in the form of a young dragon, sitting diligently reading a book. Suddenly, he turned his head back and looked around the room, saying, "I think I heard some noise." Then, suddenly, from within a beautifully wrapped gift box on the table, a fairy in a servant's outfit flew out with a pale face, exclaiming, "Oh! I'm out of oxygen." Lois witnessed this scene and exclaimed, "What on earth?" The fairy, after bursting out of the box, got caught in Lois's dragon tail. Lois waved his tail, causing her to fly and crash into the wall before stumbling and falling down. Seeing this, Lois was astonished and asked, What is that? A giant fly?" He then poked the fairy with a stick and lifted her up, asking, "Who are you?" At this point, the fairy servant woke up, opening her eyes wide and said, "Oh, pleasure to meet you, O sacred dragon child. My name is Finn, from the royal lineage of star fairies. I am honored to be the one to bring joy to you in the future." After hearing her introduction, Lois looked completely puzzled. Not understanding a thing, the fairy Finn then spoke softly, "Could you please put me down?" Lois, still looking confused, replied, "Okay, sure." After a while, they were sitting facing each other. Lois clasped his hands, his face full of suspicion, and asked, "So, what do you mean by bringing joy?" Then the star fairy Finn placed her hands on the white cloth covering the suitcase, pulled it open forcefully, and said, "Now, let me introduce. These are for the great sacred dragon child. We star fairies have meticulously prepared the celestial maiden transformation outfit, version 23, using the gender-neutral properties of the fairy clan. It includes clothing for both male and female, demon and angel costumes to suit any situation, with plenty of options to choose from. Some sets are limited edition, but the best part of this set is me, a noble star fairy and the owner of a perfect body that can fit any outfit." After hearing this, Lois looked completely puzzled for the second time and said, "A perfect doll's dress-up set? I was thinking, should I use you as a living toy?" The star fairy laughed and replied, "You are a very discerning dragon child. Of course, you understand my intention now." With that, she flew up straight toward Lois. Then I asked my father why he gave me such a gift, but it turned out to be the #1 gift that newborns always desire. Of course, that didn't matter to someone like me, whether they were toys with fairies in a fantasy world or war games. However, the idea of playing with a living creature like a doll was quite terrifying, so I decided to return it. But the fairy Finn cried and begged, "No, no, why would you do that? Why? I'll do anything you ask, I'll clean up or even do your laundry, just please don't send me away, please don't send me away." Later, I learned that becoming a little friend of a dragon was a great honor and a guaranteed path to greatness. The first fairy king, who unified the fairy tribes, was actually the childhood toy of the first dragon king. After many days of crying and pleading, she was finally accepted by me as a subordinate. Back to the present, the fairy Finn asked, "Lois, what are you thinking?" Finn is 800 years old now, she knows more than me, and she always helps me with the smallest things. And Lois replied, "Nothing much, now that I've finished training, I'll go back to studying." She's a master of natural space and has a talent for storing items in a secondary space, similar to her own personal drawer. then she took out a book from the portal she had just created and said, "Good morning, today you'll learn about the analysis and expression of magic, an advanced course." Then she continued to perform magic to conjure up a pile of dishes and drinks, placing them all on a table. Lois thought, she's really glad to see her comfortable with that, she'll have to get used to it gradually. While sitting and reading, suddenly there was a thunderous thunderstorm in the sky. Then he closed the book and sighed, saying, "Sigh, it's been a few days and now it's starting again." And then, a lightning bolt struck straight down at him, causing Fairy Finn to scream in panic, "Master Lois." However, it wasn't like before where he stood still and took the hit. This time, he raised his left arm and absorbed all the lightning into a watch, inside of which contained a piece of stone. He said, "I've been struck by lightning 100 times before. This is a thunderstone. It operates on the principle that the purer and stronger the energy, the weaker it becomes. It's a relatively unstable low-level attribute stone. When it absorbs too much lightning, it starts to fill up. And now it's full, I'll need to replace it." Then he took it out and put it in his pocket. But unexpectedly, Fairy Finn flew up and exclaimed, "No, Master Lois." Lois looked up, realizing there was still one lightning bolt left and aiming straight at him again. But Lois managed to use magic to create a purple ring just in time. So the lightning bolt missed him, therefore, the lightning bolt didn't hit him. Fairy Finn saw this and thought to herself, "That's a space distortion field, a basic space distortion field. That's almost like a first-level magic spell." And then admiration filled her eyes. Even for a dragon bestowed with magical power, that was impressive. For that day, she knew she could write a great history for everyone in the fairy tribe to hear. Meanwhile, Lois thought to himself, "I'm glad I've been studying spatial shields. Now I can easily avoid life-threatening incidents. My spatial attributes are about to reach level 1, while space and time are at level 3, but my spirit is still at level 5. Let me explain the levels here. The lowest level is level 5, and the highest is level 0. I've focused on space to survive, but in doing so, I've forgotten about my other attributes. It may take some time, but now I can see hope. I'm sure I'll survive. Alright, let's start over. Finn, get me the next book, please." "Yes, Master Lois, that's it for this chapter. Please leave your comments below, and I hope you'll subscribe to my channel to motivate me to release the next chapter soon. Thank you all very much, bye bye."